Hey friends, I'm Heidi with Heavenly Minded Home, and today I want to talk about the top 5 areas that we focus on to build really strong family relationships. So between parent to child and even children to siblings, these are the things that we really focus on to ensure that our family has really strong relationships. So come and hang out with me. Let's chat about this so you can start putting these very things into practice in your own home. Hey friends, I'm so glad you guys are here to hang out with me today. I pray you all are having a wonderful week. Now, you know in these videos that we put out each and every day, yes, I'm serious, every day, so turn on the little bell notifications so you get them as they come out. I love sharing about all the homey things. Homemaking, homeschooling, home discipleship, homesteading, all of it, that is our jam, and that's what we put out here on Heavenly Minded Home, doing everything looking forward to our eternity with the Lord. And I think a huge component about that really comes down to our family relationships. And this was something I mentioned in a video, I think last week or the week before, talking about some just different, family homeschooling type things. And somebody said, well, how exactly do you do that, right? How do you have these great family relationships? And so let's go ahead and kind of break that down here today. Now, this is an area that has been a huge focus for our family since the beginning. This was something that honestly my husband was always a huge stickler on, and I will be honest and say I didn't completely understand it back in the day. We've been married for 19 and a half, almost, well, I guess a little over 19 years now. We've been together, gosh, what year are we in for, like 21 years? It's been a really long time, okay? We've been together forever. And I didn't always understand it. And it's now one of the biggest things that I thank the Lord for, because I'm so glad that he had this insight, and I'm so glad that these were things that we always did apply. I think that the home is under attack today. Satan does not want to see strong, biblically solid, Christ-loving, just wonderfully deep homes. And I think if all of us are honest, we have come into contact with some sort of broken home situation in some way. Whether you came from a broken home, I know I did, whether you currently are in a broken home, you're experiencing something, whatever the connection may be, we've all seen it, and we've all seen the damage that's done. We see that time and time again, the greatest influence on our children and even ourselves, if we're being honest, is an outside influence, right? This is huge, and it is detrimental. This is not what we want to see for ourselves or our children. And there's so many layers of this to unpack, but I think a lot of it really does come in this refining process of building up our family relationships, our inner relationships. And this is so huge. I know I hear from so many people and they go, I would love to homeschool, or maybe we've started homeschooling, but my kids just fight and bicker all the time. And oh my gosh, it's awful. I could never imagine doing that. If I had to have my kids in with each other all day, they would just drive me crazy. I see these things all the time. The way siblings treat one another, attitudes, problems, things that go on. And then a lot of it comes down to, especially the older kids, they just want to be out with their friends. They want to be off doing the things that they want to go do, and they don't want to spend their time with their siblings, let alone their parents. And that breaks my heart. I find that just absolutely heartbreaking. It makes me so sad. And so I think really looking at this, kind of holding up those mirrors to ourselves and going, okay, how are we doing in this area? How are we going about this? Are our children struggling? Are we maybe causing part of the problem here? These are these different areas that we can really go into. And now this, of course, isn't going to be the most exhaustive list in the whole wide world. These are the top things that over thought and prayer have really stood out to me the most for our family. So of course, feel free to leave your comments down below of things that help your family, maybe things you're struggling with, anything of the like. I love when you guys, so many of you kind of comment as you go, and then it's like we get to kind of like chit chat and catch up together. So feel free to blow up the comments. It is no problem. And I will also say that in speaking of this, while these are the things that we prioritize and the things that we do for our family and have done for the past 20 years, It doesn't mean that we're perfect. And it doesn't mean that we don't ever have sibling squabbles and sibling attitudes and parent-child attitudes and things like that. We're all sinful human beings needing God's grace and forgiveness. And so we don't get it perfect 150% of the time. But this is what we redirect back to. Even when we have struggles, even when we have maybe 3 girls and 2 of which are going through hormonal changes and it's just like fuel to the fire, these are the areas that we refocus on, okay? So that's my little preface here. Let's dive into these top 5 tips to help you improve your in-home family relationships starting today. Number 1, I know this seems so simple, but seriously, it has to be said. If you want the inner relationships of your home to be better, to be wonderful, to be strong, you have to prioritize them. You have to realize that these are the most important relationships that you are cultivating. If there's no priority set, it's going to be really difficult to start making changes. You have to, I feel like it's that mental shift first and foremost of the most important relationships that I am going to cultivate are the ones inside my home. First with my husband, then with my children. That has to come from you. I know sometimes it's really, really easy as parents to go, what is wrong with these kids? They're always bickering with each other. They're not sharing. They're so rude. They just want to go out with their friends. They just want to go do their own thing. They just want to whatever. Like, it's so easy to look at the kids and go, what is wrong with you guys? Why are you acting like that? If we held the mirror up in front of us, we're usually the ones modeling that behavior that they are then doing themselves. Might look a little different just because we're older and they're younger. But a lot of the times, and it kind of stings to understand this, a lot of the times and a lot of the ways, we're kind of modeling this and showing them how to have this poor behavior and heart issues. And so the first thing we have to do is we have to prioritize this. We have to say, I'm going to make this my priority. The number 1 relationship that I'm going to focus on is this, my spouse, okay? We're gonna talk about that in a minute. Then I'm gonna focus on my children, right? Our relationships. And then would be everything else, because right now we're gonna focus inside of the home. That's what's most important to me. And those inside of my home are going to start feeling it. They're going to see just how important this is to me. If you just want to go into this thinking that you're going to say, kids, I got this really cool super nanny sheet and this is what we're going to do and this is going to make you all get along together, but yet you never prioritize these relationships, it's not going to work. It always starts with you before you can go and be expecting changes out of someone else, okay? So I understand depending on how old your kids are, how, involved in other things and whatnot that you might be dealing with, this can be a bit of a struggle. It can feel like an uphill battle. And remember, Satan doesn't want to see your home growing closer and doing all of this. So you're going to be hit with spiritual warfare. But you just remember that, no, this is the home is so special to God. And you want to see real change in the world. You want to see real things different. You want to see, a real revival. It starts in the home. And it starts in our marriages and our parenting and these soldiers for Christ that we're training up in what their lives will look like as we all live heavenly minded. And so you have to make this shift in priority. And then your family will be making this shift in priority. But if you're never starting to prioritize it, you're not going to be able to get the family to be prioritizing it, okay? So you've got to set those priorities, but you literally have to be setting these priorities. First in your thoughts, then in your deeds. The second thing, now that we've truly gotten our heads screwed on right, the second thing that we need to do here is make all, and I mean all, out of the home relationships truly second tier. This includes family, this includes friends, this includes school, this includes church, this includes hobbies, sports, whatever you want to list here. Any relationship that is not mom, dad, siblings needs to truly become second tier. Priorities up here, everybody else is second tier. Now, am I saying that relationship with family, friends, church, am I saying that those are bad and not important? Absolutely not. So the person who's leaving me that comment, please stop typing right now. Now, my children have some amazing relationships. Their relationship with grandparents, with uncles, with other friends, people from co-op, people in church, I mean, in many different places. Of course they do. And that's wonderful. That's great in its proper setting. But the problem is so often today, if not nearly every single time often, outside relationships take top priority. And in our home, something that we have always been, this is where I credit my husband, very, very strict about, is if inner home relationships aren't flourishing, I mean just thriving, outside relationships don't make the cut. They don't happen. Because we're not going to go pour into all of these out-of-home relationships when our in-home most important relationships that we have, where we are discipled and we grow and all of this amazing just development happens, if these aren't on point, then the last place we need to go, the last area of grass we need to be watering is the one out there, right? We got to fix this one before it all dries out and dies. And so you have to truly make those out-of-home relationships second tier. That means if we're having in-home bickering and little things going on, things aren't going so hot, no, you can't go stay the night with your nan, grandma. You can't go and do that fun thing because you can't even treat your sister correctly. Until you two, we work on these hard issues and we fix these things here, absolutely, you're not going to go for fun sleepover at grandma's, right? No, you're not going to go play with your friends when you're dumping your little sister, brother, or whatever, right? If these relationships aren't right and the way we're treating one another, how we're going about things, like if that stuff's not right, then we're not going to go focus somewhere else. We're not going to go hang out with someone if our younger siblings can't be included, right? If not everybody can be here, if the purpose of this isn't to have a wonderful time in fellowship with like-minded believers, we have to protect that. And I don't understand why that's such a revolutionary thought, but you really have to stop and think, these outside relationships, how is that influencing your child? How is that protecting them in their being discipled and truly getting this strong foundation of biblical truth and knowing what the importance of home and these relationships are, when we just, okay, we'll go have fun, go do whatever, go, well, it's okay that your friend wants to do that, or sports say this, or whatever it may be. We have to make sure that anything else outside of the home is second tier. And that goes for us. You know how I said, like, you have to set these priorities, you have to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. If you don't have your in-home relationships is your number one and everything else is second tier, your kids are going to see that. I mean, they're not dumb. They know what's up. If you are more focused on your out-of-home friendships, your, the women's group at church, the whoever at your knit night, the, ladies at here, I don't know, whatever it is, I'm trying to think of things off the top of my head because I don't know. But whatever it is, like if that's your priority and your kids know that they go on the back burner for you to go talk with your girlfriend or hang out with the neighbor or do whatever, they know that that's your priority. That is your top tier thing that you want to focus on. So if you're doing it, how can you expect them to not do it? The third point that I think is really important, especially for those of us who are making some big changes in our home, which I get it. I mean, we still go through seasons of life where it's like, okay, things are getting a little out of control. We need to reel this back in, okay? I think it is so incredibly important to be very open and honest and humble in these convictions and in these conversations with our children. I think our children deserve that respect and we should absolutely show it to them. Maybe you are in a spot that this whole balance is out of control and you and the hubby got to sit down and make some big changes in your home and the way relationships are being prioritized, right? Maybe that's where you find yourself. I think it's really, really important to openly discuss this with your kids. Openly discuss with them where they're prioritizing their relationships. Why are they being so influenced by these worldly things, or at least out of home things? Well, it's usually because their priority is on hanging out and being with people that are worldly, or at least outside of the home. And so you're constantly battling this, well, they're just so focused on that. Well, yeah, because that's where they spend their time. Like, that's where you let them prioritize. And so I think having these conversations and talking with them, it doesn't mean that they're going to understand or necessarily agree with you, but that's why you're the parent. That's why God has entrusted you with the responsibility of training up these children. And I think that our kids deserve that respect of, hey, this is what we're doing and it's why we're doing it. I understand you may not like it and you may not get it, but I'm going to be actively praying for you through it. We're going to be praying together as a family about this. I don't know what she's doing. And this is why we're making these changes. I think it's one thing when all of a sudden, we get all hopped up and worried about something, and so we just kind of flip the table and we pull out the new page and we go, this is what everybody's doing, and everybody in the family is like, mom's on a new kick, like, what are we doing now? That can be a little crazy, and I think that they don't necessarily think you're being serious because it's just one of your new kicks. I know I'm guilty of that, where I'm like, you know what? No screens, all screens are bad, everything's out, and I never explain or discuss anything, and everybody's just like, she's crazy. And then it's not sustainable and it ends up coming in sometime and they're like, see, mom's fad is over, we're back to it. Totally guilty. But I think when we say, hey, let's all sit down and talk about this. I'm concerned. And this is what I'm concerned about. This is why I'm concerned. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to understand it. But these are my biblical convictions. And when I see scripturally the importance of the home, and our influence for you, our discipleship, our training you up, our responsibility to train you up in God's ways with a biblical worldview, knowing what truth truly is, and knowing that these relationships come first. And so when we're focusing other places, we got influence coming on, that's where you're prioritizing, right? All these pieces start, moving around. We have to address this. And so for right now, it looks like we're reeling everything in. This is where we're focusing on, and then we'll start sorting through and figuring out what's what, but this is becoming priority. I think that we have those conversations. We have them openly, we have them honestly, we have them humbly. We allow our children a space to talk, to share. Doesn't mean they're necessarily right, and doesn't mean necessarily you're going to change my mind, but your voice will still be heard because I will show you that respect, because that's me training you up to know how to show others respect, right? So having these discussions openly, especially when you have older kids, makes this very, very important to understand that it's not just some kick mom's on because she's been watching too much YouTube, but because there's a conviction. There's an understanding of God's word and the heart of the matter, the root of all of this, and why it's so important. And let prayer and scripture refine your family, right? Even the kids, the teenagers who are really wishing you'd stop watching that crazy heavenly minded home lady because she keeps coming up with all these ridiculous things that they don't want to do. I get it, you guys. I'm so sorry. But it's important. And when you get older, you're going to look back and be so thankful that you were taught and you were prioritizing these family relationships. The fourth thing, and this is so important, you guys, do not overlook this. If you want to have strong family relationships, inner home, sibling, parent, child relationships, have fun. Seriously, this is so important. I see so often parents are frustrated with the type of friends and priorities and things that their kids are having in their lives. And I'm kind of like, well, you're the one who let them have them. So you're the one who kind of has to take responsibility to get things back on track here. But then we want to just strip out all the things that we don't want them doing. And we don't really replace it with anything, let alone anything that's like fun and exciting and something that like everybody would want to go do, right? So if you want your in-home relationships to be close, to be priority, to be biblical and godly and just fellowship and Christ, just worshiping and all of these amazing things that we all could talk about of like, yes. That's the type of family I want. This biblical family that loves one another, and kids love being with their parents, and kids love being with each other, and parents love being with their kids, and all of these great things, right? All of the warm, little, fuzzy, romantic things. Have fun. Have fun with your kids. So You need to have fun with them. They need to have fun with one another. And then everybody needs to just have fun all together. We need to do fun things. And I think especially if this is an area that your family is struggling, things are not going so well. When the kids are having some headbutting things, maybe siblings with one another, whatever the case may be, the best tip of advice that I could give you in as far as like the practical starting to do the stuff, come up with fun things. Whether that's having ice cream for dinner night, starting movie night. I love doing something like that where like we would set a theme for each day of something that this is what we're going to focus on. That seemed a lot less overwhelming to me because I wasn't trying to like make all these things happen. I stripped out all the stuff that we didn't need. We don't need to be on screens all the time. You don't need to be going to other people's houses. You don't need to be having a bunch of people come over. You don't need to be focusing on all these things off by yourself. We set the rule quite frequently. Whenever we're having issues, we set this rule of anything that's done must be done together. Nobody does things off on their own. We do things together. If we have struggles, this is just something our family does and it works wonders. If we are having attitude struggles, we say anything you do throughout the day is done in a group setting. So my kids know they can get on and play video games if they're all playing together. You don't just go sit, well, my girls, they all share a room. That's another reason why I have no interest in getting a bigger house with more rooms. Our girls all share a room. You're in there together. Somebody wants to go do something, we all go do it together, right? We have that togetherness, and it really does help us break through a lot of those barriers and problems and hard issues that maybe we're dealing with. And then it kind of just comes naturally that we're back on track with everybody kind of getting along, but we make sure that we're having fun together. If I'm struggling with a child and we're just butting heads at the moment, that's my cue to go, we need to do something fun together. Whether it's walking around a thrift store, them helping me in the garden, us just going outside and playing in the pool, or having family hiking day, or whatever it may be, let's do something fun. Sometimes it's me pulling out all the nail polish and we do manicures at the table. Sometimes it's a movie that we're watching. Sometimes it's just being outside and playing with the critters, or doing something like that. But you want to make sure that you are creating these just rich environments of fun for your family to flourish in. Letting the kids help you cook dinner in the evening, even if it takes longer and it makes a mess, right? Bring them all in. Letting them bake special desserts afterwards, right? Going out and having a fire, making s'mores and catching fireflies, that's a big one that we do a lot. But finding these little opportunities, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be Pinterest worthy. Just have fun together and prioritize that fun as a family. Play a board game at the dinner table every night. We did that for the longest time, and now that I'm thinking about it, I totally miss it, where we would play a card game or a dice game every night while we ate dinner. We're all sitting at the table anyways. We'd pull out and have our game that we would play, creating, family game night, family movie night, family s'mores night, family hike day, family whatever you want to do. Start replacing all of those out-of-home focuses, out-of-home priorities with in-home focuses and priorities that are fun, that are encouraging us all. Even get mom and dad, come on, we need to be playing and having a good time too. Let's start focusing and let's start making those shifts, and I promise you, you're going to start reaping the rewards. And the fifth and final point that really just sums up the whole thing is that we need to be modeling God's originally intended factory settings. We all have this in us. So don't think, oh, my family could never be like that. We could never do it. It's rubbish, okay? All of us have this as our original factory settings, right? Reset to default. This is what we have. It's God first, spouse second, children third, everything else, okay? It doesn't mean that these aren't important or anything. It's just the proper order. God's original setting. We all would understand this in any other setting. If I want to have my driver's license, first I have to go to driver's education, then I have to get my permit, then I have to pass a test, then I get my driver's license. We all understand that, right? We're not focusing on the driving test when you haven't even done driver's education. That would be silly because yeah, you're going to need that. You can think about it and pay attention and whatever, but like if you don't do them in their proper order, you can't get to one before the other. Like it doesn't work out. We would understand this in any other setting, but yet we talk about it from a biblical view, and all of a sudden we all get a little wonky and we're like, how does this work? We all do it. It happens. But we have to understand God's original settings. They're that way for a purpose and for a reason. And they make sense, and that's how it works. And we all have these abilities in us because it's how God designed us to be. So the more that we start conforming ourselves to these true and proper settings that are all written in our DNA from God himself, of our relationship with the Lord is number one. Your kids should see that in you. If we asked our kids, what is the number one thing your mom focuses on? Her walk with the Lord. That is the most important thing to her. What's the number one thing that dad focuses on? His walk with the Lord. That's the number one important thing, to him. Your kids, what's the most important thing? Their walk with the Lord, right? That should be number one. And that's a relationship that we continually pursue, we continually grow in. And then number two, that second piece there, spouse. For us, and you guys who are in Biblical Womanhood, we're really going in over this. And if you haven't joined us for Biblical Womanhood, it's all linked down below. Come and join us because it's amazing, and it'll be the best time. You have to come over and join us. But we're talking about love that our husbands can feel this week specifically. And as a woman, a married woman, my number one human relationship is that of my spouse, right? The Lord first, and then my spouse. And then after that, right, husband, wife, we have our children. That's our priority. We have each other first, and then our kids. And then that leaves on that bottom tier, not that it's not important, but on that bottom tier is literally everyone else. And those are wonderful relationships. I'm so thankful for my friends. I'm so thankful for my family. I'm so thankful for my church community and you guys. And so many amazing relationships that we get to have a piece in. But you guys will always take the back seat to my husband, to my children, to my time with the Lord. You'll always take the back seat. And it's not because you're not important. It doesn't mean I don't care about you or anything else like that. It's because I have to keep my priorities in line so that I work in the most optimal, efficiency due to my factory settings. And the more that we start understanding God's plan, God's order, God's will, and we start conforming ourselves to his truth, you're going to see things flourish like they have never flourished before. I promise you. It may take some time, may take some difficult refining. Satan may really not be happy about it. But if there's one thing I love to do, it's to tick Satan off. And the best way to do that is by living by God's word. Is by the more I just lean into Christ and his truth, the more Satan does not like it. And I am all about ticking him off. So just saying, it's kind of fun. But understanding God's order, God's will, and walking in that, in your life, in your marriage, in your parenting, and for your kids, that is huge. So friends, that there would be my top 5 tips for how to start really fixing up these relationships inside of our homes, how to have strong parent-child relationships, how to have strong sibling relationships in our family. And I know these things can be difficult. I know they can be a little intimidating, trying to sort the pieces out and all of that. But I'm telling you, if you really focus on these 5 tips here, really look at them, take them to prayer, ask the Lord to guide you and convict you and lead you. Know that I promise, I am over here cheering you on every step of the way. And if you ever have any questions, ever anything that you're like, okay, I understand this, I'm getting there, but how? How does it play out? Leave me a comment. Let me know. I'm happy to share because I believe in this so much. I am so thankful that I love my time with my kids. I love our relationships. Do we have good days and bad days? Sure, of course we do. We're all human. Some days it's me needing to go and apologize to them. Sometimes it's them coming and apologizing to me, but I love our relationships. I love that I have an 18-year-old who isn't trying to just run out the door and get out of here because he can't wait to, fly the coop. I love that my kids love being together. I literally had to break up my children having this great, fun, wonderful time because they needed to come clean up and get their chores done and do their stuff because I have things I need to do. And I was like, all right, guys, you could be in here for hours with each other. You're going to have to press pause and let me get a few things done. But I love that. That is such a blessing that they love working together and doing stuff together so much that I had to ruin everybody's day and make them pause, right? Not really, they understand, but you know what I mean, right? Like, I love that my problem is getting them to stop doing stuff together because like we need to get stuff done, or like I need a minute or whatever it may be, right? I don't want to see them have hard hearts against each other. I don't want, you see what that turns into with adults, and it's sad. It's so sad. And that's not what we want to do. We want to be doing stuff different. Doesn't mean we're perfect. Doesn't mean it's always sunshine and rainbows in here, but this is what we focus on and this is what we do. And I promise you, you start implementing these things, you're going to the Lord, you're putting them into practice, you're doing all of this, you will start seeing an improvement. And it is a beautiful, wonderful thing. So hopefully these things were helpful for you guys. I cannot wait to read your comments and see what you guys are saying. If you have any follow-ups, of course, just ask, happy to answer. Praying this can truly be a blessing to you in your home. If you guys want a little something else to watch, you know it, that video up there, probably gonna be your best bet. Otherwise, I will see you right back here tomorrow for even more videos. And of course, in the collective or with our free biblical womanhood study that we have going on, all the links are down below, so you guys can go check those out. See you then, friends. Bye.